The night the homeless girl knocked on the door, the rain was falling in thin, icy needles that soaked her ragged sweater and plastered her dark hair to her cheeks, and she stood there trembling not just from the cold but from the fear of being chased away yet again, clutching a small, torn backpack that held everything she owned in the world, which was almost nothing, while inside the grand mansion on the hill, warm lights glowed behind tall windows and a rich woman named Eleanor Whitmore was finishing her evening tea, lost in her usual silence that came with too much money and too many memories, when the sharp, unexpected knock echoed through the marble halls like a sound from another life, causing Eleanor to freeze mid-step, because no one ever came to her door unannounced, not anymore, and certainly not at this hour, and when she finally opened it, she saw a thin girl no older than 10, barefoot, shivering, eyes wide with a mix of desperation and stubborn courage, and the girl spoke softly, almost apologetically, asking if she could please just stand under the roof for a moment to escape the rain, and Eleanor's first instinct, trained by years of living behind gates and guards, was to close the door, to protect herself, to assume the worst, but something in the child's voice cracked through her defenses like glass, so she let her in just enough to escape the storm, planning to send her away quickly, until the girl stepped onto the marble floor and stared around the foyer with an expression not of awe, but recognition, her eyes tracing the staircase, the portrait on the wall, the old grandfather clock, and then she whispered words that made Eleanor's breath catch in her throat. "My dad used to live here," and the room seemed to tilt as Eleanor laughed nervously, assuming it was a lie born from hunger or imagination, asking the girl what her father's name was, expecting a random answer, but when the girl said, "Daniel Whitmore," the cup slipped from Eleanor's hand and shattered on the floor, because Daniel Whitmore was her younger brother, the one she had cut off years ago for marrying a woman she didn't approve of, the one who vanished from her life after a bitter argument over pride and inheritance, the one she later heard had died in poverty but never bothered to confirm, and suddenly the homeless girl standing before her wasn't a stranger anymore but blood, family, a living reminder of every choice Eleanor had buried beneath her wealth. And as Eleanor sank into a chair, memories flooded back, Daniel as a laughing boy running through these same halls, Daniel leaving the house with nothing but a suitcase and his dignity, Daniel writing letters Eleanor never opened because she was too busy being powerful to be kind, and the girl, sensing the shift, told her story in broken sentences, about sleeping under bridges, about her father getting sick and telling her stories of a big house on a hill where people used to love him, about knocking on doors every night hoping someone would be kind, and Eleanor listened as if each word was a weight placed directly on her chest, realizing that all her success, all her luxury, meant nothing if it came at the cost of abandoning family, and in that moment, the mansion felt colder than the street outside, because guilt is a harsher winter than rain, and Eleanor did something she hadn't done in years, she cried openly, kneeling in front of the girl, apologizing to a child who had lost everything because of adult pride, promising her warmth, safety, and a home not as charity but as family, and as the girl finally smiled for the first time, Eleanor understood that redemption doesn't arrive with applause or headlines, it arrives quietly, disguised as a knock on the door you almost ignore, and this story, like many others we share on this channel, is a reminder that compassion can change destinies, that kindness can rewrite the past, and that sometimes the greatest wealth is the courage to open your door and your heart. So if stories like this move you, inspire you, or remind you of the humanity we all share, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because every subscription helps us continue telling powerful stories that matter, stories that heal, stories that stay with you long after the screen fades to black.